We're all set here today in Guernsey for an interview with Paul Welch. Paul is a natural-born entrepreneur, founder of millionplus.com. It was great to record a chat with Paul a few weeks ago in Mayfair. We've got more interviews lined up with him in Miami and Dubai later in the year. Let's see what he had to say. We're here in Candy Gardens in a very tranquil spot in St. Peter Port. We've got a lovely vista out towards the islands here.
Yeah.
Got PCD dinner tomorrow night. We've got 175 guests.
Wow.
Registered Million Plus headline sponsor.
Fantastic.
And then the following morning you're jetting off to Monaco yacht show. So is this a standard week in the life of Paul Welch?
It's been kind of crazy. And I love the shoes. We're going to get Chris to look at these really colourful shoes. I mean, I love them. So yeah, for me, I mean, you know, you look at my last week, I was in Guernsey Wednesday. I was lucky to fly privately with a client to Geneva. I spent one night in Geneva. Next morning I went up to Zurich. I was in Zurich one night for your PCD event. Friday I flew to London. I was in London one night. Saturday I flew back to Guernsey after doing some filming all day. I'm in Guernsey now. Monaco Wednesday to Sunday, back to London. London 3 days back to Guernsey. So
it's an on-the-go lifestyle, isn't it?
Yeah, but when you're looking after the super rich and the world's famous, it's kind of like whenever they want to see you, you just have to go.
Yeah.
And when they're borrowing sort of, you know, 20 to 100 million, it's a must. So it's kind of like a non-negotiable.
One thing we wanted to build on from last time is looking at some of the mechanics around asset financing.
Sure.
So we touched on a lot of different topics when I spoke to you in Mayfair a few weeks ago. And just taking examples, say, of in Monaco Yacht Show this week,
Sure.
high net worth client sees an asset they want to buy. Talk us through some of the mechanics of how that asset financing works.
It's all about, when you're looking at a super yacht or a mega yacht, is the brand, the make of the yacht. So it's a bit like the better brands get the better loan to values. So if you've got a Lursen or a Fedship, they're going to get a higher lending value than some of the other less known shipyards. So for us, it's always the individual, income, assets, liabilities, studying them, and then what do they want to achieve. Now, you can achieve 100% loan to value against most assets if they've got other liquidity, so margin loans, Lombard loans. What will happen is the bank, let's do a simple maths, if it was 75 million loan on 100, the bank would want a minimum 20 million of assets under management or an advisory mandate in addition to the yacht loan. And everything is negotiable. Fees, margins, AUM. And I've learned over my 20 years doing this that banks will do whatever they want to do if they want the client.
And banks can often do the Lombard loan piece, but they can't finance the asset necessarily, a bank or a wealth manager. So that's where they might come to look to you.
Correct, yeah. I mean, we get a lot of clients. There's only probably 4 to 6 really interesting yacht lenders. And for them, it's more about the wider relationship. There are some lenders that will do what we call a dry lend, where they're lending just on the yacht itself, but the margins tend to be higher, and most clients always want, from my experience, the highest loan to value at the lowest margin, and the only way to achieve that will be a blended facility. So the bank will take the yacht, portfolio of assets, take security over the two, and then lend them the money that they need to purchase the yacht.
Does the residency, the client, come into play, or it's the hard assets that they've got, isn't it? It's the physical, it's the yacht, and it's the bankable assets.
From a KYC perspective, the client's nationality, residency, source of wealth, your normal KYC you would expect with any sort of private banking relationship, then it's the yacht itself, and then the wider relationship. There may be certain families that the bank have been sort of targeting for, say, 10 years, and generally speaking, they only get one chance to sort of onboard them. And from my experience, that's normally a lending opportunity, and then the banks will then really push loan to value and margins, and sometimes will lend money at a loss because they want that family name, whether it's a famous name that they've been looking at for some time.
And what about in the art world? I mean, how does art financing work, and what are some of the nuances you've picked up in that field?
Art is very challenging because it's proving provenance. You know, if you don't have good provenance, no one's going to lend. Sometimes people think they've got something really valuable and they haven't. So for us, it's the value. If it's above 10 million, then some of the private banks will assist. If it's below that number, then there's many auction houses that will look at it. If it's private bank led, you're 2.5% to 4% kind of margin. If it's an auction house, it can be anywhere from 8 to 10. And if it's a specialist fund, anywhere from 10 to 20%, depending on size. If it's a smaller art piece, it'll be a much higher margin for the asset. Art is complicated, but it's not impossible.
And I mean, what are the sort of scenarios which clients are looking for financing? But people who are who've got assets, you'd think, well, why are they going to sources of finance?
At the end of the day, if you can borrow money, say at a 1% margin, or a margin loan or a Lombard loan, say from 50 basis points, it's like having a revolving credit facility. So in the last few weeks, ahead of what we're all calling a recession, we've had 3 clients with £100 million art collections wanting to have liquidity so they could take advantage of any buying opportunities that may present themselves. And we were very lucky to be covered in the Financial Times this weekend just gone. And we've seen a lot of dollar-based economies where people can buy assets at a 15% discount. And after what's happened today with the currencies, more likely probably a 25% discount. And it's having liquidity. That's the key thing. A lot of wealthy people will borrow because if they can get money at 1-2% margins and they're buying and selling things making 10 to 20%, it's just how the super rich get super richer. Kind of, unfortunately so.
People are actually engaging with you and telling you what they are looking for.
Correct.
I mean, why is it that a high net worth client would sort of share information about things that they're looking for?
Because sometimes they're looking for rare and scarce items and they don't have the reach. I mean, with the platform, we're getting probably 5 million people per annum visiting, and you know, super high net worth people kind of have a trusted circle, and sometimes they either want a car, a piece of art, or something very rare and scarce that you just can't find. So by engaging with us and letting us know that, hey, if this comes up, I want to buy it. We also, on the other side, we get so many people say, look, I want to sell this, but I don't want no one to know. And we get so many people say, hey, look, I've got this great thing, but you can't talk about it, you can't write about it. And I said, well, how am I supposed to sell it for you? So the idea is developed that people can now register on the platform for a fee to go into the database of the items that they want to buy, and then we can look to match the buyers and the sellers. And the great thing for us is that we can finance that transaction as well through the largemortgageloans.com business.
And you're a famous outdoor swimmer. You last week in Zurich, you were in Lake Zurich. You're in the sea this morning here in Guernsey.
Hi, good morning. Greg and I are about to go for a morning swim.
Tell us a little bit more about why this is a real passion of yours.
So unfortunately, 2.5 years ago, my daughter was kind of critically ill, and I was kind of not coping with everything. We had COVID. You know, my daughter was in hospital for many, many weeks, and we had a rare condition which no one really knew how to cure. And our child psychologist at the time, we had a team around the child, is what they call it. We had 6 specialists, and the psycho friend, as they call him now, John, an amazing guy, helped the family so much, said, Paul, go for a sea swim. And I said, are you mad? I said, it's December, it's like 6 degrees. He said, Paul, get in, sort yourself out. And I thought, okay. And I went in, and it was like the first 60 seconds, you think, what am I doing? But then you learn to breathe, and then I discovered Wim Hof, who's a famous ice specialist at swimming at sub-zero temperatures. And once you master your breath, I now believe firmly that you can do anything you really want to do. And for me, wherever I am in the world, you know, I went this morning, I'll probably go tonight. 5 of my team are visiting from London. And 2 of them came in this morning and 2 tonight, and it just sets up your day. You have clarity of thought, and you just feel amazing. And I'm 52 years young, and a few motorbike crashes and the like, a few aches and pains, but you don't feel them. So when are you going to come and join me?
Well, we'll see.
But you have to master your breathing and do it. It's amazing.
You should come and see us in Brighton, and we'll go in the sea together.
Yeah, but it's going to be the same temperature in Brighton as it is here.
But where do you think, of all your travels abroad going swimming, where is there a number one most memorable place? Or
recently, Mark Patanchetti visited for 5 days, and so we went to Sark and stayed there one night. And Sark, there are no cars. There's just bikes and horse and carriages. And we managed in one day to complete 5 swims, which was incredible. But we walked kind of like 25,000 steps. We cycled 5 miles, and it was crazy. Sark is stunning. If you've never
Yeah.
visited Sark, it's probably the total opposite of my normal life of hectic 24/7 on the travel to having no real good mobile phone reception and not many people around and peace and quiet. Sark was just unbelievable. I was born here, only moved back 6 years ago to look after my late father, and it's a great balance. My wife, who's from London, when I said we're going to go and live there, she said, I'm not living on that island. And I went, okay, well, let's see how we get on. And she won't move now. She absolutely loves it. Kids love it. And it is a beautiful place. If you can get off island on a regular basis like I do, then you have the best of both worlds.